All right, it is 5:01, and I'm going to call this meeting to order. Could I have a roll call, please?
Katie?
Here.
Christy?
Present.
Dan?
Here?
Eric?
Here.
James?
Here.
All right. Is Dana considered absent, or is she just not on anymore?
Yeah, she'll be absent today.
Okay. Could I get a motion to approve the absences, please?
I'll move to approve Dana's absence.
Seconded.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Luis, would you mind reading the disclaimer, please?
Yeah, and before I do, I just want to make one, yes, I can. I got out of order there that time, sorry.
Okay.
Chapter 16, Section 22 of the City of Kalamazoo Code of Ordinance states historical preservation is a public purpose. To serve that purpose, the Historic District Commission is hereby charged with the following responsibilities. A, the Kalamazoo Historic District Commission is empowered to regulate work on the exterior of historic resources and non-historic resources in historic districts in the City of Kalamazoo, and shall otherwise have all powers invested in historic district commissions pursuant to the Local Historic Districts Act, MCLA 399201, and 1970 PA 169 as amended 1992. B, to regulate work on resources which by city ordinance are historic or non-historic resources located within the local historic districts, including but not limited to the moving of any structure into or out of, or the building of any structure in an historic district. The following documents are available in the Community Planning and Economic Development Department located at 245 North Rose Street. These documents will help assist property owners in understanding the responsibilities of owning property in a local historic district. MCLA 399201, 1970 PA 169 as amended 1992, which is the Michigan Local Historic District Act, the Code of Ordinances of the City of Kalamazoo, Michigan, specifically Chapter 16, which deals with historic districts, the Secretary of the Interior Standards for Rehabilitation and Guidelines for Rehabilitating Historic Buildings, which was published in 1990, Standards and Guidelines for Kalamazoo Historic Districts, and Maps of Kalamazoo Local Historic Districts. These documents and maps are also available on the City of Kalamazoo website at www.kalamazoocity.org/historic preservation.
Thank you, Luis. Do we have any new additions to the agenda?
Just a removal, so 807 West Vine, the applicant reached out to me and said that they'd like to postpone the meeting until the January meeting of the Historic District Commission. So we do have it in writing, even though there's the 60-day rule. We'll extend it out to the meeting in January, which I believe, and I just want to make sure, I believe it's on the 21st, but I'm going to double check real quick. Yes, so that's January 1st, 2025.
Okay, thank you for that. Could I get a motion to adopt the formal agenda, please?
I move to adopt our agenda as written.
Seconded.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Could I get a motion to approve the minutes from the last one?
I'll move to approve the minutes from our October meeting.
Seconded.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Do we have any public comments on non-agenda items tonight? Anyone out there? Okay. Luis, do we have any new business other than the applicants?
Nope, just the applicants.
All right. Okay, then the first one we're going to call is 617 Stewart. It looks like that's a phone meeting.
I think everyone can hear me. Hello, can you hear us? One moment. Can you hear us? Oh, only I can hear you, so let's see what we can do here. Oh dear. Could you talk one more time there for us? Let's see. We can hear you, or I can hear you. I don't know if anyone else can hear you. I don't think that probably anyone on the dais can hear him, correct?
Oh, we
Is
can't.
there a microphone we could put up to the speaker?
No, let's try. Could you try it again there first, Travis? No. No. Sorry. Could you try it again, Travis?
Yeah, this is Travis.
Yep, we can hear you now. So if you could just go
All right.
introduce yourself and let us know who you are, and then we can let the commission kind of ask some questions about the project. If you could also introduce the project.
Okay. Thanks for hearing me out, especially not being physically present. My name is Travis Meyer. I work for Kalamazoo Valley Habitat for Humanity, and this home is one in our critical home repair program, where we do home repairs, critical. This is part of a much larger scope of work in which we are kind of overhauling this house, redoing replacing the furnace, etc. Many things that aren't on this list. But these are the ones that, after walking through with Luis, I was under the impression you all had to oversee, and that's kind of it. Ask questions as you please.
Okay, I guess I'll start with the questions on that. Looking at the pictures of the windows in question, it looks like, at least from the photos, that it's more of like a scraping paint, reglazing situation. That's the window right there. Those two windows is. Can you describe the damage that's maybe not visible in the photos?
Yeah. So after kind of walking around with Luis, I got the impression that basically every window throughout the house could be scraped and painted, and storms could be put on them, except these kitchen windows, which to me it felt like there was enough damage. I mean, we're missing panes in there. I know panes are replaceable, but they have been taking on a significant amount of water from, I guess it's not really included in the picture, but just above that little square vent, there's a flat roof. And so I thought that was kind of an ideal window to replace. And the Pella ones I was looking at had the 6 panes on the top and, a single pane on the bottom in an almost identical fashion.
Okay, and those are wooden windows that you're replacing it with?
Yes.
Okay.
I had a question about your side light window replacement request. What's the material you're looking at for those windows as well?
You're talking to the front door to the porch?
Yes, I believe so.
Yes, and for that we would be keeping the glass and just replacing the rotted out components with wood, pine wood, but painting it. So in the picture you can see like kind of the sill, and there's like a little panel beneath it that's deteriorating, and we would use wood that will match it to the best of our ability.
Thank you.
In regards to your front porch
Hello?
there, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. In regards to the front porch, what are you planning on doing with the flooring? You replace your window, but your flooring is where it wasn't. Appears to be used to be a porch. It's been closed
Yes.
in.
That would be not in this scope of work, but in general, I don't actually remember what we were planning to do with that floor on the front porch. It may be the case that it is just deteriorated right there on the outside, because it is roofed in and doesn't seem to have been leaking. And, but I don't have a great answer for you for that at the moment, but I could get back to you on it.
Yeah, no, just to me, it seems a little bit backwards on your process there to replace windows and doors and then come back and try to figure out how you're going to fix the floor, but, yeah.
Sure. That's reasonable.
I had one more question on the porch that you're removing, or the screened-in porch or glassed-in porch.
Yes.
It looks totally ruined and not well made to begin with. But I was just curious, like internally, is there an original exterior door that is going to be used as an exterior door, or what's the plan in there? I'm not sure what it looks like on the inside.
On the inside, there's a triple window that has been replaced with a vinyl window. There is no door from the inside of the house to that porch. It's just an exterior door. And you're right that it is pretty much totally ruined, and it wasn't even made out of very good materials to begin with. On that top piece, you can maybe kind of tell from the texture that it's painted OSB. So yeah, we are probably going to have to, do a little nicety to trim out those replacements that are in there. But there will be non-historic windows because that's just what's in the house under that porch.
Okay, great. Does anyone else have any questions before we ask for a motion?
So you're just talking about, I don't know why that's me, maybe I'm too close to the microphone. on this porch here,
Yep.
You're not going to do anything with the OSB and the rot that's there, you're just going to,
Oh, just tear it down.
you're tearing the whole thing off. Okay.
We decided it was probably better to tear it off, deal with whatever little attachments it has to the siding to weatherize those, than to try to repair that porch.
Okay, good, yeah, good, thank you.
Yep.
If there are no more questions, would someone make a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve a certificate of appropriateness for the work as described in the application, as it complies with Secretary of Interior Standards 2, 6, and 9.
Seconded.
Thank you. Casey, could I have a roll call vote, please?
Katie?
Yay.
Christy?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
All right, Travis, so that the motion did carry, I can get in touch with you later this week to get the formal paperwork out to you electronically, and then, I don't know if you'll need to apply for any other permits, but we can talk either tomorrow or Thursday about the next steps.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, everybody, for your time. Thank you, Luis.
Yep, not a problem. Thanks for joining us.
Yep, take care.
Yep, bye.
Next, we're calling 739 McCourty.
Hi, good evening. I'm Peter Barnard. I'm the owner of 739 McCourty, and I was here, August, I think it was, for this property. And so we've been in the midst of doing a pretty significant renovation, and we're moving along, reframing quite a bit. And what we found is you're not the only one. When we started pulling out the windows, we were trying to refurbish them as we had refurbished windows over at 723 McCourty, but they were simply, rotted away. This house has been, sitting vacant for, 20 years or so, and so there was water damage and all that sort of thing. So while we wanted to just rework the windows and have them come back with the original windows, we found that just wasn't feasible. So as far as the front, there are 2 front windows, and then there are 4 side windows, and all of those just really didn't work. And I actually brought some pieces that Louise can show you. Basically, all the mortises and tenons are, either disappeared, and the sills are pretty much rotted away. So, it was a process of having basically to rebuild the entire things from scratch. So as a result, we said, why don't we, rather than rebuild them from scratch, why don't we go get some wooden windows, not vinyl, but wooden windows that would have the same look, basically the same sizing, and then and replace those. So that's for the 2 front windows and the side windows. 3 side windows, and then there's a rear kitchen window. The only thing we are doing different in the rear kitchen window is making it a little bit shorter so we could have, a chair rail, that sort of thing. But again, all wooden windows, and at least as far as width, basically the same size as we had before. So those were those 6 windows. The other issue that we came up against in the second floor, what we wanted to do is we wanted to replace the 2 vinyl windows that are there right now with a single wooden window, which you all approved last time. But what we found is that we didn't have sufficient egress for a single wooden window back there. So what we would have to do is keep the 2 windows back there, replace them with wood, and then do casement windows as opposed to double hung, just so they had the 24-inch egress issue. So, just a little change back there. And I think that was what we needed to do. Be happy to answer any questions.
You state in your application that you believe the windows might be a little bit larger than the current openings. Is that correct? So that you can get standard sizing?
Yes.
Okay.
What we did is, as we're looking for windows right now, we said, we took the sizes that we had, and in the little chart that I put together, what we tried to do is get as close to that size as possible without having to go to custom.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with your place. You've got quite a project going, and I tip my hat for you to take it on. On the back porch there, are those, the sills of the window is sitting pretty much right on top of the porch itself?
On the
back side where you were talking about, they're going to do the 1 window as opposed to the 2 and all that.
Oh yeah, they're very, very close.
So I would be in favor of, even if you were shrinking that dimension lengthwise in order to get a little bit of height, because I've got the same issue on my side porches, and it's just, it is not a question of will it fail, it's when.
Yeah.
So if you're going to go through that effort, I would be in support of that myself.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I hadn't even really thought about that. I was just trying to, keep the same look and feel. And frankly, when I came in August, I didn't realize how much taller the porch was in the back than the in the front. Mm-hmm. So all of a sudden I started to count the pieces of siding and said, these aren't the same thing I thought they were originally.
Yeah.
So, but there's not a right angle in that house. Anything else I could add?
You can't add. I was just going to say, again, like I remember last time you brought the project before us, and the way you're tackling it is very thoughtful, and you're doing a good job, and so I'm fully in support. So,
yeah. Well, thank you.
If there's not any more questions, does someone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve a certificate of appropriateness for the work as described in the application, as it complies with the Secretary of Interior Standards 2, 6, and 9.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Casey, could I get a roll call vote, please?
Katie?
Yay.
Christy?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Okay, so the motion passed. Peter, I'll be in touch with you tomorrow or Thursday to get an electronic version over of the certificate of appropriateness, and we can discuss next steps of the project if you'd like as well. So,
Thank you very much.
yep, thank you for coming in.
All right, moving on to 161 East Michigan.
Good evening. My name is Steve Vandersloot. I'm here with Sign Art, along with the applicant, Carrie, my associate. We're here on behalf of Traystar, who is looking to continue their Haymarket Building branding, and with the signage package that you've seen in front of me now is Raymond James, which is a new tenant for them, facing west. I believe sign number 2 is the sign that currently reads the Wine Loft. It will remain same in appearance as it does now. It's non-illuminated, just built in a different manner. And then again, in the form of the current Haymarket Building branding. And then the last one is a projecting sign, also in that same theme. This particular sign has something that they've thrown around, I bet you, for 15 plus years, mainly driven by Eckert Wardell, who's been a long-standing tenant of the building and would really like to have some more prominence on Michigan Avenue. So if there's any questions that I can speak to, so sign number 1 to sign number 3 are both an internally illuminated sign, typical for sign art. Sign number 2 is going to be illuminated with a floodlight type fixture and uplighting. All of that type of work, the electrical work, is being performed by a gentleman named Tom Wagner, of Wagner Electric.
The third sign is also illuminated, is that right?
The sign number 3 is internally illuminated, yes. Anything you see white or red will illuminate. Obviously, the black is opaque. So of the total surface area, maybe half is actually illuminated. It's going to be mostly opaque, which is very similar to the parking sign that they placed at the lot 305, what I always call the Wendy's.
And the second and third sign are essentially the same, just in different spots and illuminated differently.
Yeah, this sign number 2 is just Wine Loft is no longer. They're called WL Social House. Call it what you will, but that sign is non-illuminated currently. We are just introducing a floodlight fixture, I believe, from the bottom.
Sure.
And the Raymond James is what you would expect for something at the top of, a 70-foot tall building, so to speak.
I had a question about sign number 2, the one that appears to be more flushly mounted on the brick. What is your plan how will you install that against the brick?
How do we install it? It is oftentimes it's a game time decision. We go in there with a couple different options, depending on the type of surface that we're mounting to. As you know, when you go into some of these districts, you get original building materials from 100 years, and we also might have a section of the building that was maybe damaged, torn down. What we prefer to do is to use a Tapcon type of masonry fastener, and we prefer to work within mortar joints whenever possible. We understand that when you drill into brick, it pops, it breaks. It's not, especially mortar of many years ago, isn't necessarily the best concrete product to lag into. We find mortar is the least resistant place to do it. Worst case scenario, or again, when it is conducive, we will do a through bolt type of mechanism. That's actually very conducive for working within mortar joints, because we typically use 1/4 inch threaded rod for that, And so we're talking, we're using a 1/4-inch drill bit or a 5/16 drill bit, which, again, a standard mortar joint, I believe on this building is still 3/8. So we can work within the mortar joints.
Thank you.
Yep.
I have someone in the public that wants to make a comment. Would you mind introducing yourself?
My name is Nelson, Nelson Nave, 610 West South Street and 100 North Edward Street. Years ago, the same group wanted to put a sign like the Raymond James sign to show the bank that's not in this building, but in the 6-story bank with the glass elevator on the front. What's the name of that bank? Anyway, they wanted to put it in the same location, and we turned it down because it's a brand new thing downtown in the historic district, and anyway, it's new. It's a new thing. Whether you agree that it's correct or not, it's up to you. The other thing was
sorry to interrupt. What's a new thing?
Having that sign up there on number 1 on the top of the Haymarket building. The other thing was the lit signs. I really don't have a problem with the little lit signs, but you should ask about how are they going to put the conduit to those lit signs. These group of buildings now have conduits everywhere. They have no care about where the conduit goes, what it looks like, or anything. They all should come from the inside, not the outside. Or they should paint the existing and any new conduits to match the wall. The walls are painted. Be very easy. That's all I have to say. Thanks.
Thank you for that. Does anyone else have any comments or questions?
I think it would be interesting to see explain the conduit situation for us, what your plan is for that.
No, I agree wholeheartedly with Mr. Nave. Well-respected guy downtown. Obviously, everybody knows Nelson, right? So sign number 1. We've looked at this, of course. When we go into projects, we don't go in blind. We have a plan. That indeed will be fed through the wall. There will be no exposed conduit, 70 feet up in the air. But thankfully, it wouldn't be very noticeable anyways. However, sign number 2, there is a surface conduit there currently that there's looks like an antenna system. I don't know what it's for specifically or who owns it, but it has painted conduit on the building already, so we certainly would observe that same method. And then sign number 3, which the photo doesn't do it necessarily great justice, but because it's being, if you zoom in really close to the picture on the left, you will see a small junction box that is already present on the building. I'm not sure what it was there for, but when we met with the electrician on site, he got super excited about it because it's there and we'll be able to have a very short run of conduit right from that box that already exists to the sign, and undoubtedly it'll be painted that dark red color to match the building. So we try to be very sensitive to that. I can't stand exposed conduit. It's an easy way out most of the time, except for buildings of this nature where it's not likely very accountable. So difficult to manage, but we try.
Yeah, thank you for clearing up that. And then, thank you for the insight also.
No, that's great comments.
Looking at our standards, while I may not personally like the new addition of the sign number 1, the Raymond James sign, I don't see that it would detract from the historic character of the building, certainly not damaging anything if it could be removed in the future. So that's my primary concern. And, as much as I'd like to weigh in on taste, I don't really find that relevant here, so I have no problems with that.
I would echo similar sentiments. I think I'm grateful for Nelson speaking up and encouraging us to ask about the conduit, and I appreciate the applicants taking all that into consideration, as well as mounting this with intention so as to, make future removal easy and the most destructive to the building as possible.
And I'll just add to that, I think anything right now that gets people downtown and helps our downtown businesses to stay, leasing from the owners of these buildings, I think is a good thing.
All right, anyone want to do a motion?
I move to approve a certificate of appropriateness for the work as described in the application, as it complies with the Secretary of Interior Standards 9 and 10.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Casey, could I have a roll call vote, please?
Katie?
Yay.
Christie?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
All right, so the motion has carried and passed. I will be in touch with you guys again either Wednesday or Thursday to get the certificate of appropriateness out. For this one, you guys will also need the sign permit, so make sure you get all of the necessary permissions before doing any work of the installation of the signs. For sure. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on to 923 West Vine.
Hi, I'm Scott Beatty. My wife and I own the property at 923 West Vine Street. What we're proposing to do is there's an exterior door on the back side of the house on the second level, right there, that goes to the bathroom. At one time, there was a stairway, an exterior stairway that led up to that door, and that was a tenant's entry up into their the apartment in the attic, which we no longer have anymore. That was torn down a while ago, so now we just have this door leading to nowhere. What we were wanting to do is we had Window World come out and give us a quote on a vinyl framed, double hung, tempered glass window. We would like the window to cover as much of that space as possible. And I know we would need the safety stops because it goes all the way to the floor. Yeah, that's what we're asking. It would be painted also to match the rest of the windows. The whole house is going to get painted. But we were assured by Window World we could make it look like the other windows.
So I guess my only comment is we always look for like wooden windows or clad windows. And then do you have any thoughts of maybe making it match the window that's right, on the same level there? It probably originally was that same window.
Yeah, we did. We were just thinking if we could do the bigger window, it would allow more light into that bathroom and it would be nicer. Yeah, that's definitely something we would do if we had to do that.
Gotcha, thanks. I guess, again, my opinion, the hole's still already there. I mean, if, my big holdup would then be wanting a wooden or a clad window instead of vinyl.
Okay.
Then that's just where I'm at.
I'm a little torn, but I think I side with Dan in the thinking that a wooden window would be preferred. I'm torn because this was obviously not an original window, and if we're not looking at going back to, like Dan suggested, matching the other window, is there room for flexibility? I guess that's maybe a point of discussion for us. I still would prefer, I think it would be more in line with our historic standards to go with something wood I think it would better suit the rest of the materials in their home. Anyone else have thoughts?
I had a quick question. The window beneath it, with the white, is that vinyl as well?
That is a vinyl window.
That is vinyl, okay.
That was there, yeah, when my wife inherited the house 25 years ago.
Okay.
so.
And this is on the side of the house, not on the front facade, correct?
It's on the rear.
Oh, the rear of it,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Okay. And you mentioned that you would plan on painting it, so the whole house is going to be painted, so the frame will be painted as well, and it will look,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. And it would have the molding to match.
Okay.
The other windows.
Yeah.
I agree with Christie that it would, I think it would look nice if it matched and kind of mirrored the one that's off to the right of that, but as it is an existing hole there, I understand the desire to keep it as it is. And also that door is non-historic. That also aligns with our standards that you're not replacing a historic feature of the home.
Right.
But I also echo that wood would be preferred, at least to keep with the historic nature of the house as a whole, you know, even with one other vinyl window there, but that's where I'm at.
Do you want to do a motion? Or yeah, Stuckey, do you have any questions or comments? No? Oh, Nelson has a comment.
Nelson Nave again. Definitely recommend not doing the door-sized window. It'll look like heck for 20, 30 years. And whatever window you decide on, it should have the same grille work on the top half, double hung, aluminum clad wood. All it's going to take to put the smaller window in is just a little bit of wood and then some more shingles like they're replacing or what they're doing there. I would recommend that you do it that way. Thank you.
Thanks for that comment. I mean, that's, Luis, if we could have some advice, like, I don't know, what the standard says about, you know, if the feature's already been removed, like what kind of say we have in forcing to be restored to that or not?
Yeah, so a couple points I guess we can make. Obviously, this is a non-original opening that we have. I don't know if anyone went out to go see this site. This is the part of Vine Street that's at the extreme western tip of West Vine Street. So it goes up a little street that when you first look at it, might not even appear to be a street, and it's on the rear of it. You have to go into the backyard to see it, certainly. And I took this picture in the backyard. It's the first thing I'll say. Second thing I'll say is that looking in my records, I have no records of this house up until about 2000-ish, let's say. So I'm guessing that Sharon went out to go visit your wife when she purchased the house, and that's when all the records started to come together for the property. It's a rather isolated little portion of the street, and there might have been changes that were made even when it was a historic district that had been unchecked in the past. We know that change that's been made there is not gained historic significance, right? So we don't need to look at Secretary of the Interior Standards 4 because we don't need to consider the significance that it could have acquired by any means. I think that we can all immediately see that from looking at the window. I think from the practical standpoint of things, I reached out to you and your wife about this as well. Installing a window that large, practically, not historic-wise, and I expressed my concerns with you guys, opens you up to having to do some more things to the window, like put in the tempered glass and then also put in the window stops to make sure that people aren't going to fall out of the window in a bathroom. That has nothing to do with our discussion here. Those are just logistic things. When we look at standards 9 and 10, which I think are going to be the ones that apply here the most, because we could say that I don't think that we're looking to decide upon even any conjectural features. Could be said that making the window the same side would be conjectural, but I think that it can be reasonably assumed that the window probably matched the size of the other window when the opening was first cut into the wall, right?
Right.
I didn't include that one because what you guys were proposing, I mean, it's not conjectural. You're hoping to keep the same size of the window, I felt. So if we look at 9 and 10, 9, which speaks to new additions, the work shall be differentiated from the old, but shall be compatible with the massing size, scale, and architectural features to protect the historic integrity of the property and its environment. You know, I said that this is a non-historic door, and there's no historic materials that are going to be removed. Their placement will be differentiated from the old through the use of the material and the size. While it's not matching the existing opening, I guess compatibility is an interesting word that we have to assess here. When we move on to 10, new additions and adjacent related or new construction shall be undertaken in such a manner that if removed in the future, the essential form and integrity of the historic property and its environment shall be unimpaired. You know, the proposed vinyl window, if installed, could certainly be removed and the property would be unimpaired. I don't think that there's a question of that. When we move over to the local historic district standards and guidelines, you know, this one gets a little wonky because we have stuff about going from doors to windows, or doors to windows and how they should be sided up underneath, but you guys are not proposing that. You're proposing essentially to keep the same dimensions of the door as it is right now. Mm-hmm. Which put me in an interesting spot when I was assessing things, but you know, you guys are going to keep the original dimensions, which when we're looking at window dimensions, we hope that the original dimensions will be kept. I'm just reading what is in my report. And then it says that aluminum and vinyl clad windows do not meet the above requirements. Vinyl was not a historic material. You know, it's not a historic material, but this will not be replacing the historic components on the property is what I also reported. The discussion that I wrote, which is just kind of a recap of all of that, says that the second story rear door is non-historic and the porch that used to accompany the second story rear door has since been removed. And I think that speaks to the context of the door, which there is not a lot of context anymore as to why there's a door there, correct? Mm-hmm. We're not concerned with the interior of the property at all, but I can tell that you guys have replaced some of those shakes there. Yeah. Now there's just a door. The installation of the vinyl window will not destroy any historic materials, and it will fit into the existing opening on the building. This is obviously an odd case. I do think that if a motion was going to be made, I think that it would be the most beneficial for all of us to continue discourse before we make a motion that does not have any further path to move down, correct? So I think that more discussion, and I can't compel you all to do this, but might be necessary so we can understand what path is going to be taken for this project.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, it seems like a simple problem at first, but there's layers to it. Are you open to making the window smaller? Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. Well then, I think if you are open to it, I mean, we would all just approve it instantly. I imagine if you just made it a wooden or clad window that looked like the other one in the same size, we'd be super.
Would we be looking at a postponement then? Because we can't vote on that tonight. That's not how the application's written, and we can't tell him to do something he's not asked to do. Correct, Luis?
Is that true?
I mean, I think that you guys could alter the motion to say that we would vote for, and it wouldn't be as it's written in the application then, but the replacement of the door with a window that matched the existing window on the south side of the, or not on the south side, no, yes, on the south side of the property, the eastern existing window. And then you guys could dictate whichever things, then it would be incumbent upon you to make sure that you listen to that request for it to be compliant.
And we wouldn't want to postpone it further since it's postponed from the last.
Yeah. And so if someone wants to make a motion along those lines, and then just a side comment, I do think that in the long term, you'd be way happier, you know, even though you'd lose a little bit of that light, you'd still have a lot of light from that window, and then the back would just visually feel a lot more put together after it's all painted and everything.
Yeah,
so
I wanted to weigh in real quickly, just as a carpenter here. It's not a big deal to fill that in if you're concerned about it's going to cost so much money, or it's going to be so time. That's a pretty easy thing to do to infill.
Okay.
I also think you mentioned it was a bathroom. Is there a fan in the bathroom?
There is now.
There is, okay. So I was going to say the window's going to give you that.
Yeah.
Some way to vent it. If you put a solid window in there, there's no way to vent. So,
Right.
but yeah, aesthetically, having the 3 bars above and matching that window, it's going to look nice.
Okay.
And you'll get plenty of light in there.
Okay, would someone take a crack at making a motion with that information in it?
I'll move to approve a certificate of appropriateness for the work at 923 West Vine, provided that the applicant use a wood or aluminum-clad wood window that matches the one directly east of that,
Yeah.
as that would comply with Secretary of Interior Standards 9 and 10.
Do we need to mention the size? Changing the size of the window?
Yeah, so James just pointed out that he wants it to match. You could say that you want it to match in dimension and design.
Should I start from the beginning then?
You can just amend it to say that the new window shall match, and, granted that the new window shall match dimension and design, or you can say reasonably match dimension and design of the window directly east of it.
I'll amend my motion to add that the new window should match in both dimension and size to the window directly to the east of it.
Okay.
And design, I'm sorry.
And design.
Yeah, thanks, James. Someone want to second that?
I will second.
All right, Casey, can we have a roll call vote on that, please?
Katie?
Yay.
Christy?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
All right, so that motion did carry, so I'll be in touch with you most likely tomorrow, because there's some of the finer points that I want to be able to work out with you, so we can get you on the path to get your work done, not that you have the COA. Not 100%, but you might need a building permit for this too, as you're changing the opening size, so I just want to make sure that you get everything taken care of, and we can talk through everything that is going to be needed to make sure that you're going to stay in compliance with all that, but we'll be in touch tomorrow if you're available, or sometime later this week. So.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Awesome, thank you so much for coming in.
Luis, do you have a coordinator's report for us?
Yes.
I think
Nope.
we're...
So the other one got postponed until January. Obviously, we had our training. The numbers, we've had 63 administrative reviews, 29 hearings, which that's going to go up by, I guess, 3 or 4. I need to do the counting because we had some postponements, for a total of 92 total reviews right now. That's yielded $4,670 in associated fees. Administrative reviews, if anything jumps out to you guys, please let me know. It's all rather routine stuff, so.
Okay, yeah, thanks. If there's nothing else, I'm going to adjourn the meeting at 5:50.